In 2015, Brett Rossi filed a domestic violence lawsuit against her former fiancé, Charlie Sheen. And though many other women had come forward alleging that Sheen was violent or abusive, it was often Brett's credibility that came under fire. Why? Because she works in the sex industry. I'm Amanda Knox, and I've seen how different media outlets, mainstream media outlets, respectable media outlets have dismissed Brett's story as merely salacious and only deserving of tabloid treatment. As someone whose sexuality has also been treated like evidence of guilt and whose most intimate and traumatic experiences have also been picked apart in the media, I want to treat Brett's story with the seriousness it deserves.
Oh my gosh.
He's friends with the dogs.
What brought you to the adult film industry?
When I turned 18, that was when the Girls Next Door was really big. And so I wanted to be like a Playboy model. I wanted to be a bunny. I went to the mansion and I got hired as a painted girl for Hef's parties. I got chosen to be Playboy cyber girl, and it kind of just spiraled from there. And I was on every single men's magazine cover, and I became this centerfold overnight.
How did you actually first meet Charlie?
He pursued me for 6 months, and I kept saying no. So during that time, I had quit porn, and I was in nursing school. And then this mutual friend calls me and says, hey, I have this client that wants to meet you. It's a high-end client, I can't tell the name, but you can make 10 grand. Yes, that most people would define that as escorting. I don't really care how you define it. I was a nursing student struggling, and I needed to pay my bills, and I was paying for school in cash. And who's gonna say no to 10 grand? When he walked in, he was so charming and just very charismatic and very open and warm and friendly. The bond was as if we knew each other in a different lifetime. And from that point on, we were inseparable. He got rid of all the girls that he would have hanging around, and we were in love.
But it wasn't long before Brett saw the darker side of Charlie Sheen. Can you tell me a little bit about how he would seem like two completely different people?
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving. I still have photos of us. We were playing catch in this suite, this hotel, and you know, he drank a lot, and I went to sleep, and the next thing I know, he's pulling me like a rag doll out of bed, and he puts me in front of this mini fridge, and he's screaming at me, why is there nothing to drink? Why is there nothing to drink? And he shook me and shook me and shook me and pushed me. And this person looked at me with such rage, like you would look at somebody that you hate with your greatest passion. And I said, I've been sleeping, I don't know. And he shook me and shook me and shook me. And this was the pattern that happened every single month. Every single month, it was something.
When Brett had enough of the abuse and the relationship ended, the tabloid feeding frenzy began, following her every move as she grappled with Charlie's HIV status and struggled with depression.
Everyone loves him, and he is a terrible human being. So when I would read what a terrible human being I am, I would sit there and think, well, what the f?
You and I both know that the tabloids are full of I mean, when I first came home, not only was the paparazzi following my every move to try to find like just the right moment to make me look terrible, there were people out there who genuinely wanted to hurt me and wanted to hurt me by exploiting my pain.
Right.
And It sounds like that's exactly what's happening to you.
When I came out with my domestic violence lawsuit, it was the hardest decision that I ever had to do because my grandmother had to read in-depth details of things that happened to me that I never wanted her to know. And I was automatically assumed I was a liar, even though the person that I had this suit against had a 30-year history of drug abuse, alcohol abuse, abusing women, being convicted of abusing women.
To feel so isolated that way, to feel like people are treating you like you were crazy.
For a year, I told my friends and my family and my psychiatrist that I was being followed. And they convinced me that I was crazy. In March 2016, a tabloid released a transcript of my ex-fiance having a discussion with a call girl, and he said, "I will pay to have her head kicked in and smashed and killed." This person was so angry at me for how dare I file a legitimate lawsuit. How dare I, a porn star whore, stand up to Hollywood royalty?
Do you feel like anyone has ever actually genuinely asked you, what is your experience and how have you grown? Do people approach you that way?
No. The only time that I was given a platform to even slightly discuss my story was to basically just say, oh, I don't have HIV, which really sucks.
Right, when he found out he had HIV, and you were engaged to him during that period of time, that must have been quite a
Situation. And that's pretty much all that I really want to talk about because HIV is not sexy.
Are you okay?
Yeah, of course.
Everything's
I'm still
good?
performing in movies. I
Okay.
do not have HIV. I am
That is
100%
so
healthy.
nice.
What if I did? That's not an appropriate question. What if I was sick?
Has anyone ever approached you from the Me Too movement? Has that ever been a part of your story?
Surprisingly, no. I am, once again, an invisible entity. I am a porn star, a sex symbol. You know, I'm disgusting. I'm pathetic. When you hear people tell you what you are so much every single day, that you just start to believe it.
When the world is telling you who you are, you are so alone, and you might as well be crazy if you're that alone.
Where I find my solace is my animals.
And why is that? What is it about animals that is so therapeutic?
I don't really crave human connection as much as sad as that sounds, as much as, you know, attention and affection from an animal.
And someone you can just give love and receive love from without
Judgment.
the complications that
No
arise.
complications. It's totally unconditional love. Hello, Tiny. Hello, Tiny. This is Tiny.
Can you be my therapist?
This is Tiny.
Hi, Tiny.
And this is her little tracksuit. Let's go see the ponies. You can come inside with me. Don't be scared of them. If they come up and get in your face, it's because they like you.
What gives me hope is that Brett still has a very open heart. She's still strong enough to stand up for herself and to stand up for others. This is a moment that sex workers can seize to reinforce the idea that they're human beings too. Women in the sex industry are more likely to suffer abuse, assault, and murder than the general population. That's why it's imperative that the Me Too movement embraces them. And as the Me Too movement grows and evolves, I trust that's going to happen.